since its inception. And so there's some brief history in your current book now. A little information. A gentleman years ago wrote an article that appeared in the old Huntsville magazine. I don't know whether any of you read that. Well, in the April issue, they repeated his article. And he wrote an article. He came to Huntsville, John McDaniel. He came to Huntsville in 1942 to work at the Arsenal. And something I didn't know until I read that article, at that time it was known as Huntsville Arsenal. Oh. And it was changed to Redstone Arsenal because they were going to close the Arsenal in 1949. Because during the war they made mustard gas and colored smoke grenades and munitions. Well, the war was over. And why?
And people walked down the street orange.
Really? Yeah, I didn't know that. And I wondered, I never asked any of our founding members, and I knew a couple of them, why they formed the Newcomers Club. What was the reason? There were newcomers. Where did they go? I guess they came to Redstone Arsenal during the war to work, to make mustard gas. And so that's why there were so many new people in Huntsville, and then the Newcomers Club was formed in 1947. So they were going to sell, in 1949, the Arsenal was put up for sale. And John Sparkman was part of the group that was responsible for keeping it here, and it was changed to Redstone Arsenal. It is now, it's 40,000 acres, a lot of land. And they changed it, and the office chief of ordnance decided to purchase the Arsenal. Huntsville Arsenal was up for sale. So that's why we have all these newcomers that came to Huntsville. And then it was purchased in 1949, and they reactivated it. And in 1950, they brought the Germans who were at Fort Bliss. They brought them here to Huntsville. So, and a little side note, we lived about 6 houses down from Werner von Braun. Never did see him, never met him, but that's where he lived. And a little history of the club.
Tell them about my grandfather, his first view.
Oh, I hate to say this. My daughter told me this. My father-in-law's first view of Werner von Braun was he was picking weeds in his front yard when he drove by.
Well, he concreted his yard, so you have to do that. He concreted his yard, so he wouldn't have to do that anymore.
Yeah, there was a lot of concrete there.
Yeah.
So that was his first view. A little history of the club. I have several books that Lou left me. First one I just showed you was 1951. And there was a history. We have a history in the book right now. But they wrote a little history in the book from 1951 until 1964. And then when Jeannie Darrington wrote it, she updated it. And now people are, I don't know who's updating, but Karen's been in charge of the book, but there have been updates all along. But if you haven't read it, read it, because it is interesting. And in 1951, if your dues weren't paid, you were reminded, and you had 1 month to pay. And if you didn't pay it, goodbye. You were crossed out. And then for some reason, up until 1953, membership was limited to 2 years.
Really?
And then, for some reason, in 1953, and I don't have that book, membership was closed. I don't know why, but that's the way it goes. And membership was limited, in 1956, the membership was limited to 65.
Really?
And the dues were $5 a year. A little different now, isn't it?
Inflation, 65.
And for some reason in 1953, the membership was closed. They didn't say why, but it was closed. And then membership limit became 75 sometime between 1961 and 64. I don't have those books, but that's what the membership limit has been ever since. From 1967 to 1984, we sponsored the Maid of Cotton contestant.
Really?
And they kept, in the 1951 book that I just showed you, there were 41 names printed in the book and 20 associate members that they called them. In 1971 book, there were 74 members and 9 honoraries. And the Mardi Gras Ball was named in 1966. And they, as I said, they raised money ever since the club has been in existence. And in 1970, the honorary category was established and discontinued in 2003. And I saw in 1974, the dues went up, $13.50. And a little history of our yearbook, it stayed basically the same from 1947 until 1995, when it became a larger book. We had 38 years of the same book. Nothing changed. And I'll show you what it is.
Karen's dream.
38 years.
Wow. That's so cool.
And here's what it looked like in 1956. And here is in 1960. Let's see.
It's like a calendar.
71 and 76, year first book my name was in, and this is the year I was president. Thank you. And then I showed you in 1996 and 97, they decided to get a large book.
Wow.
And then in 1998, for some reason,
Wow.
they went to this size, and it had
Little white book. Yeah. Oh, look, it's bound.
Oh, that's nice.
It's a tiny font.
and we did that for about 8 years. And then we went large again. Different colors, different years.
Yeah, right.
I think.
And then,
Was that windows?
here's another color.
Wow, you have so many. Oh, wow. That is so cool.
She never throws anything away.
I'm so glad.
And then, there was something else.
Very
We went in 2011,
Those are wonderful.
see the different binding,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's nice.
different bindings. And here we go in 1920. Some of you remember that book? I don't know who did the picture there. Was it Alicia?
The internet. The internet.
And then Alicia being is that picture. Cause the club symbol is the gladiola. And then, our current book. Of course, I left it in my pocketbook, but anyway.
Mom.
And the Karen, in our current book, Paige did the cover, changed a little bit, that's our current book. But read the history of the book, and, that's basically, but here's what John McDaniel wrote, and, I copied it from his article that he wrote. During 1948, the office chief of ordnance decided to designate an arsenal to research and develop the field of rocketry and Redstone Arsenal to carry out this mission. The Redstone Arsenal giving the new arsenal a total combined area of 40,000 acres, with the arrival of German scientists and there was well over 10,000 people, no, less than that. And then the arrival of the former German scientists from Fort Bliss to join in April 1940, to join the approximately 1,200 personnel already on the arsenal.
That's a lot
So
of people.
things have grown, but we started, I think, because of the arsenal. And World War II and what they did at the arsenal, because that's where the newcomers come from, unless you know.
I understand that at one point you couldn't join if you didn't play bridge.
That's true.
Huh?
I swear that's true. You can promise I'll learn, but you definitely, and when you were on the hostess committee, you got to serve the tea or the coffee to the bridge players.
Oh.
And they would raise their hand to let you know they were ready to have their coffee, so they didn't have to get up. That was part of the hostess day.
Let's learn to play bridge.
Well, she played bridge.
I'm not serving y'all.
I remember when I was growing up at the bridge party. We got locked out of the living room because all the tables were set up in the living room.
Well, everybody, let's give a big round of
Lou left me a lot of books, the early ones, and they're, I forgot to bring, here's the 10th anniversary book.
Wow. Would you be comfortable
She
if
did.
after the meeting we put them out on one of the tables and everybody could take a look at them?
Sue,
Can't take them.
Don't take them.
I have a question.
Lynn has a question.
Sue, where did y'all used to meet in the beginning? Where did you meet?
They first of all, when the club was first started, met at members' homes.
Okay.
And then because it got bigger, they met at the Russell Erskine Hotel.
Wow.
And then we went over to the Huntsville Country Club, and then down here.
John, in our high school years, everything happened at the Russell Hotel. Proms and
Thank you so much for